and Stage 1 fuel is closed out. Falcon 9 is in self-align. Falcon 9 heaters closing out.
Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count.
Vehicle tanks pressing for strong back retract.
Strong back retract has started.
Stage 2 RP1 bleed. Stage 1 RP1 bleed. AFTS final setup started. MBAG igniter purges. Mogo bleed.
Dragon has transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power.
Stage 1 LOX load closed out. Vehicle is transitioning to internal power. Stage 2 LOX load is closed out. Propellant fills are complete.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Ground gas closeouts is starting.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon is in countdown.
FTS is armed for launch.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
Hey folks, Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. Let's talk satellite phones for a minute. If you don't have one of these in your hand, when the grid goes down, you're going to have a really hard time communicating with folks. Listen, there's a reason why your senators and your military are all going to this platform. It is because, one, with the Inmarsat solution, 95% of the Earth is actually covered. Your mobile phones, not the case, about 7%. So also, with satellite phone technology, it is all encrypted. That's why the military and congressmen use it, because they can securely talk to somebody. It's fully encrypted end to end. And, oh, by the way, whether it's a text or whether it's a voice call, all encrypted, totally private. And, it can't be tracked or traced. So you could be making a call on this and you don't have to worry about somebody zeroing in on your location, which is also very, very nice. Okay. So we've got a deal going right now with the satellite phone store. Hop over there to, you can go sat123.com. That's sat123.com. And they've got some family plans right now they put together just for the Monkey Nation. And they are the Inmarsat phones. And with that, you get this amazing waterproof case. I do all kinds of stuff with this. I put my watches in there, whatever I need, my phones, my bivy sticks. I can put it inside this, and it is nice and watertight. So, but they've got these deals going right now. You get the phones with the deal. And if you get the one phone Inmarsat deal, it's 100 minutes are included or text with that. And it's $89.95 a month. You can do the family plan, which is this one right here in the middle, tied to the two-phone solution. And that one is you get 200 minutes or text included with that. And those are shared minutes, by the way. And that's a $175.95 a month. It is a 12-month agreement. And then the three-phone shared family plan, again, they come with the waterproof case. And those are Inmarsat phones, 300 minutes or text that are shared. And you get a $259.95 a month. It is, again, a 12-month agreement. But the phones come with it, which is a very nice thing. And again, very nice to have in your quiver. Again, sat123.com, or just give them a call over the satellite phone store at 941-841-0844 and tell them a monkey sent you. And they will take good care of you. All right, listen, that's going to be it. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out. All right, hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your SITREP. It is 11 a.m., or give or take a couple minutes, Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas. It is 6/14/2023, and without further ado, we're going to jump over to the board. If you would, please hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification, and that way we can keep you in a loop as things shake loose here. Now, we got a lot of stuff going on over our heads today. I'm going to do this. Let me hop over here to the mini board, And you're going to see SkyGlass. Right now we have, this is the air refuelers up over the United States. 37 is what you see on the screen currently. You've got a whole bunch of them taking off, headed out to their service locations out of the center of the United States. And then, of course, we've got them out and up on the East Coast, pretty much all the way across the U.S. This one is headed out to this region here. We've got several that are down here along the southern Texas border. And again, don't know why they are doing that, but it is always a little bit interesting when you see them servicing, because you know they're servicing fighters down in that region. So let me clear out these traces that are buried into this for a second. We can get a good count. 241 is our current aircraft count over the United States right now. Again, this is live. And if we look at the Tex-2s and the T-38s, I've taken 81 of them already out of our frame here. Now, the other interesting little data point for you are the H-60. Those are Black Hawks. 28 of those up. Normally you get about 6 or 8 on any given time, but 28 up. The Northeast seems to be really chock full. Nothing over the center of the United States. But again, H-60s, that'll be your Spec Ops community. That'll be your Homeland Security, etc. Those guys. All right. Now let's, well, I say Spec Ops community, not all of them, but a lot of them. Okay. All right. Let's do this. I'm going to hop over to, let's kick it off with, as always, we'll do the watch list. Now, this is interesting. And the reason it is interesting is because if you notice what I'm pointing out right here, those are all intelligence gathering balloons. I'm going to pause it for 1 second, just so you understand. You're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 that I can see from my screen here on the watch list that are currently overhead. They're above any kind of aircraft traffic. But when you have that many up, the amount of data that they are gathering and watching relative to us, the citizens, is insane. Why they are doing it to this degree and level, I don't know. There's probably a lot more up there that we are not seeing. I'm just going to say that. I'll tell you, if I look at the amount of mil intel balloons on my watch list, I want to say it's 50 that we have actually tracked and tagged. They just don't show. But today we caught a lot of, there's 4 Habals that are up, which is, I've never seen 4 of them up at any given point. Again, intelligence gathering. What they do is, and how they have the loophole in this, you think, oh, well, wait a minute, they can't spy on U.S. citizens. That's illegal. Yeah, what they do is they gather data on criminals, and you get caught up in the data sweep, right? So think of it, if you poured a bunch of salt on the ground and sprinkled it with some pepper, you and I are the salt. The pepper would be the criminals, but because those peppers are within our area, or AO, so to speak, we get swept up in that data collection, whether it's photos, whether it's grabbing conversations off your cell phone, tracking you, whatever it may be. That is exactly what they're doing here, and they have perfected it. And oh, by the way, it's not a coincidence that Germany is also the other country that has this. And I will tell you, James and I did a show yesterday that's exclusive content over on his locals and on my Patreon that talks a lot about this very thing. It goes back to Operation Paperclip. And yeah, these people are just straight up evil. So, all right, so let's press on. Now, a lot of these others you see right here are going to be, with exception of these 2, are going to be survey planes. I'm only showing 13 surveys up right now. There's... about, yeah, you can see now that one right there, that's Trump. And just so you see there, his 757 coming down from up north. And it looks like he's headed maybe down to Mar-a-Lago, or maybe he's headed to turn himself in again. I don't know. This shenanigans are just out of control right now. That's going to be a survey plane. And that right there, that's the Chinese dignitaries. So they look to be over Europe right now, at least flying over Europe. And that'll be that. Now let's get over here and take a look at the Ruskies. You can see we've got an Antonov rolling in and out from Taiwan down to Sydney. That's interesting because remember, Taiwan is your big chip manufacturer, and an Antonov is a very large aircraft. So that right there, again, data point for you. But let's get over to look at this side of it. You can see they've been pretty active lately. Now, keep in mind, I'm tracking now as I add to my watch list quiver. I'm tracking a lot of things such as Russian Air Force, Russian Army, military. I'm also tracking the dignitary flights. So these could be a little bit of everything. You've got some Air Force in there as well as some of the upper echelon, right? All right, survey flights, getting kind of weird here. I don't see what I normally would see in terms of the survey tracks back and forth. They seem to be flying over areas and just capturing data. And when I say data, ground photos, ground video, whatever it may be. Now that is what it should look like. That is that's a typical survey flight. But now we get over, you got Chicago. Just look at it starting to scatter and spread out a little bit, maybe wrapping up. I don't know. We were still at 166 flights, but I'm going to show you some weather patterns here over the United States that are completely hosed up. And I mean, you get above, a certain flight level and it's clear, but that will certainly impede their ability to do this. Now, I think LiDAR doesn't have a problem. It doesn't have to be clear skies for them to do stuff. The problem, I think, lies with the pilots, because you get a lot of pilots that jump into these companies that are just trying to build their hours, and they're not necessarily instrument rated yet. And so you can see, they can't fly in the clouds because they're not instrument rated. So that's probably why we see some of this lowering. So there's Alice Springs. You may remember that is one of your camps in the middle of Australia. It's a really unlikely, weird place, isn't it? Got stuff going on over Sydney, down into Melbourne, down into Tasmania, even over in Auckland, New Zealand. They are continuing, like I said, and you did see that was Netherlands was going hot and heavy with the survey flights there a minute ago. So they're still doing them. They're doing them all over the world. And 166 over 3 days is really, it's light compared to, we were above 200 every 3 days. So but it's still a heavy presence of survey flights. So now I know there's a lot of folks that ask, what are survey flights? So I'll just hit it with a high level real fast. These are flights that basically take video or LiDAR, which is a laser light detection deal, paints 3D pictures of stuff on the ground. But these airplanes fly back and forth to get basically ground photos. Think of it like Google from a Google Earth perspective, right? But it's a low altitude, super granular in terms of what they have the ability to look at and paint pictures of. And from a military perspective, they can actually see what's inside houses, which is really crazy. But you can see this. Netherlands, like I said, they are just all over it. So, okay, now let's get back over here to our main menu. But that would be the wrong one. Let's try that one. All right. Fingers are not working right this morning. Okay. Let's talk Flashbang. Let's see where he is headed today. Looks like he and Bob Marley are getting their official briefing at 11 a.m. And let's see. Okay. I'm got Snoopy and the gang talking at around 1:45 with their regular everyday press briefings. And, okay, so it looks like he's headed to the Anthem in D.C., and then he's got a League of Conservation Voters annual Capitol dinner tonight at 8 p.m. And then he wraps up, I guess, back to the Senior Living Center around 8:55 p.m. this evening. So non-event, but we will take a look here because I was just talking about the surveys and the amount of smoke. Now, this is over on my radar, and they've got a new program in that'll allow you to actually see the smoke coverage over the United States right now. This is very strange, I may add. I will tell you, if I walk outside over the last 2 days here, it is straight up it is hazy. So there's no doubt in my mind there's some smoke added to this. And that was just after the massive hailstorm that came through with softball size hail. Thank you. That was lovely. And I get to buy a new roof now. Yep. So here's all the fires up in Canada. Notice I think they're pushing about 300 now, if I'm not mistaken. It is pretty crazy. But this right here, this is high smoke hazard. Notice that it dips down through the United States, over Kentucky, Missouri. It's into Virginia, rolls all the way up to New York. Very high smoke, even though they're getting some rain in here, which is kind of strange. This other area here is low smoke hazard, but it is still a smoke hazard. And I think that's why we have a lot of the haze. What's really interesting, if I can get it to play right, this, just notice, probably 80% of the United States is covered right now in some type of of smoke, which is really, really nuts. So notice too up here, if we get in a little closer, Senior Living Center, notice that it looks like Flashbang is headed home for the weekend under some medium smoke conditions. And this blue dot is the center of the United States. It is not where I live. Just FYI, I wouldn't dox myself to that degree. So anyway, just and these little blue boxes you see are power outages through the storms. Now, I know right now we got some tornado warnings and stuff going on into, I think, Georgia and Alabama. So if you're in those areas, stay frosty for sure. And then all of these red dots, you're probably like, what are those? These are actually infrared signals, heat signals that are picked up by satellites. All right, so whether it's a fire, campfire, whatever the heck it is, but that's what those are showing, all right? Okay, let me back away. Step away, step away. Here we go. Over to the news. Well, this is strange. Biden allegedly received a $5 million bribe from a Ukrainian executive, and this came from the documents that the committee that is investigating this requested from the FBI. They basically were going to hold Chris Wray in contempt, and he decided, hey, no, it's okay. Come on over. I'll give you the form. It's FD 1023 document, but you have to look at it in a secure environment. So they brought him into a skiff and basically showed him this. Now, why was it in a skiff? Probably because it has some dirt on this guy right here. But that right there is incriminating, and I would not be surprised to see them take this guy down before he ever gets through his tour of duty, so to speak, his damage to the United States. All right, over here to this. This is your Bohica moment for today. Again, they are pumping money in and out of that location like nobody's business. And if you knew the roots behind who is established within Ukraine and have been since probably around 1946 is when it started, yeah, it would be our agency, the CIA. Yeah. Although they didn't start officially until 1948, I believe it is 47, 48. They are highly embedded and ingrained within Ukraine. Okay, so, all right, it looks like here it is, $325 million worth of arms and equipment for security are headed to the Ukraine. And what does it say? I'm authorizing our 40th drawdown for Ukraine. 40 times now they have sent a ton of money, your hardworking tax dollars, to Ukraine to try to stave off the deep state from cratering. Okay. All right, here we go. White House set to approve depleted uranium munitions to Ukraine. This is key because if you know anything about this depleted uranium, when you add it to a bullet or any type of weapon systems, it basically is like piercing armor like butter. It something about it, but the downside to it also is that you are polluting the environment, so to speak. So they'll tell you about protecting the climate on one hand, which we all know is hogwash. because they're the ones that are doing all the climate damage, to now putting depleted uranium into a battlefield. They're saying that you can even go back to, let's see, what was the name of it? It was Operation, see if I can find the name for you here. Operation Allied Force that took place. They actually had a lot of Italian soldiers actually being diagnosed with leukemia because of this depleted uranium. But yeah, you throw that on an M1 Abrams and it'll destroy anything that it hits. It just straight through. So anyway, the Kremlin is not happy about that. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But this, if you look at the photo and you think, man, that looks pretty familiar. You think for a second that they aren't stealing and spying on our programs or getting data from somebody's bathroom server. This right here is just one more case in point that shows how both Russia and China are taking our aircraft design secrets and recreating them. Okay, this is the new H20 Stealth Bomber that China has now put out. Notice even the engine locations on the fuselage. You could tell me if you said that was a B-2 bomber, I would say absolutely. Yep, that's it. That's supposedly an H20. And this is what you see here in the front of it are all of the different types of munitions that it will carry. Cruise missiles, whatever, nukes, whatever. It basically will carry all of this stuff. So yeah, they are stealing. Now, notice they got the winglets on here, just like the B-21, right? So, yep, there you have it. Secrets no more. Everybody is basically just buying their way into our programs. All right. Now, this I found interesting. The Biden administration is looking to add 12 million barrels to the SPR this year. Now, you think, 12 million barrels, that is quite a bit. But in the grand scheme of things, did you know that the United States consumes 18 million barrels a day? A day. So to add 12 million barrels to the SPR this year is adding less. It's about 60% of our daily use. So it is absolutely waste of time. Really isn't going to help us in the grand scheme of things. So just watch for fuel prices this summer. I'll be shocked if they're able to keep them down because usually they'll take some of the SPR, they'll throw it in there to kind of offset and drop the price down by, a couple, a dime or two. So anyway, just a heads up there. All right. Here's going to be, this is the Star Wars map. We're looking at Bitdefender to see what the cyber threats are coming in today. It looks like we're as always, about 8 months now, very one-directional. Everybody's trying to take us down. And just wait until somebody figures how to run the AI into this algorithm, and we'll all be living in the Stone Age. Okay, for flight, this will give you the NOTAMs for today. Just we've got the largest air defender exercise taking shape right now. Again, 10,000 personnel, 200 fighters, and it's a very big thing. So it's happening all around this area. Okay, this had some stuff that just ended, not really going on here. This is the Ruskies up here, but and then also notice the big box over St. Petersburg, all the way up to the border of Estonia. Keep in mind, too, Lithuania in July is where the NATO meeting will take shape, and Flashbang is expected to be there. Just note that Belarus is directly right over the border, and that puts them in very close proximity to have all your enemies in one place. So, all right. Let's move on from the NOTAMs and pay attention to this piece, because when you start looking at people stacking the deck against the United States, this is just one of many countries that are about to change from their other currency, i.e. the United States dollar or the petrodollar, into this BRICS format. So it looks like Egypt has just applied officially to join BRICS. And again, this is to maximize the transfer of trade to alternate currencies is really what it is. So it's taking them off the dollar. So the interesting thing is, if you go over here and look at the list of countries that are now currently underway, and they could be actually decided or approved, the next summit in August, which is just around the corner. Look at the names here. Algeria, Argentina, Bahrain, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Senegal, Sudan, Syria, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Uruguay, Venezuela, and even Zimbabwe. So A to Z, those are the countries that are already or actually are getting ready to join these other nations, which just that are already there. So the deck is definitely stacked against us. I will tell you that. So the U.S. dollar longevity is looking very bleak. All right. More F-35 news. This is over on the drive in the war zone. It says the latest F-35s will go directly into storage until the upgrade woes are ironed out. Yeah, if you're wondering what that's all about, called tech refreshes. I've mentioned several times that this aircraft is basically a flying supercomputer. It processes, I think it was about 1 million bits of data per second. It's just this incredible amount. Yeah, it's a supercomputer. And so they're saying that the previous version, which was the Tech Release 2, they're still allowing them to continue. They're already fielded, and they'll be flying those. But all of the aircraft that are produced under this new software, the Tech 4 version, evidently it's got some holes in it that are very concerning. And so they are now basically going to park them because they don't want to risk losing these aircraft until this tech refresh gets loaded. And they're saying that this could actually be into, I think they said 2024 before they get everything up and running. So, yeah, that's the F-35 Lightning out of Fort Worth. That's rolling out right there over Lake Worth, just down below. And I know that area very well. That's why I say that. But, yeah, they're saying spring 2024 before the issues with TR-3 are ironed out and the jets get finally handed over. So you think about that. They produce a lot. I don't know what low rate production they're in. I don't think they are in full rate production yet because it's going to take them longer. These are highly technical aircraft. So their plan by now was actually to be in full rate production where they would produce one F-35 a day. And in terms of rate production, and it's I don't think they're there yet. So still, nonetheless, that production line is very, very nose to tail packed with aircraft. So this will be a pretty big deal, especially if we are at war, trying to get these things up and done. All right. Now, we were talking about the fact that they are entering your depleted uranium into the war zone there in Ukraine against the Russians. And just another data point for you. This Lukashenko he's the president of Belarus. And he just made basically saying that, hey, look, God forbid I have to make a decision to use those weapons today. He's talking about nukes, but there will be no hesitation if we have to face aggression. Remember, he's right on the border of Poland, and they just moved nukes into that country from Russia. And so this guy's got the launch codes, and he is prepared to use them if he needs to. So pay close attention because that is a very key data point for you. Again, this whole nuclear thing, there's a lot of talk about the use of them. As you saw in the last SITREP, the amount of money that was spent in 2022 is a record amount. It was in the 80s, $85 billion or something like that, that was spent just making nukes around the world. So talk about wars and rumors of wars. This is getting nutty. Okay. Now, Putin is actually saying Ukraine's losses are close to catastrophic. I will tell you, when I looked at the map this morning, I started to show it, but it looks just like the map that it always looks like. Very heavy in certain areas that, in fact, I will just pull up one that we used last time right here. And it looks the same. It really hasn't changed much, but they're saying that these, that the tanks and everything that the U.S. gave them have just been getting obliterated. So I think this spring offensive is going to be short-lived. I don't think that NATO will be getting engaged in this. In fact, I think in July they will probably start to talk about NATO being engaged. I don't think at this point they're probably going to be licking their wounds in July because, again, you've got people that are not super well versed in our equipment or anybody else's equipment, and all these countries throwing things at them. From the Tiger tanks to the stuff coming out of UK and the US, it just isn't conducive. It's you're trying to learn a new vehicle and fight a war against people that have been, using this old school equipment and are very well versed in it. So anyway, we will move on from that. But again, I think after July, you'll probably see some type of a move from NATO in the fall, if I had to guess. We'll see what happens. But over here to the Canberra flights, you can see on the board, we've got two of them up, one taken off out of Crete, one out of Ramstein, and one of them's looks to be headed northwest, and then the other headed south, probably down to the Middle East at this point. So that's 4 less than what I was looking at 30 minutes ago. We get over here to Biggs Army Airfield. Pay close attention to this because we've got some weird movement going on yet again. Notice the amount of aircraft coming in on the arrival board today. Okay, this isn't a buildup for the week. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then one inbound on the schedule. 7 aircraft coming into Biggs Army Airfield today. Now the big question is, where are they going from there? All right. These smaller ones, you got this one going to Pittsburgh. That one's headed to Harrisburg. You got a 777 headed up to Indianapolis. This one's headed over to Dallas Love Field. That's Southwest Airlines. Sorry, I say headed. Coming in from those locations. Might be. So that's a 737 MAX jet coming in from Southwest Dallas Love Field. That's probably empty. As national cargo coming in from Orlando, probably empty. And this one is actually coming from Alexandria at 72-hour holding facility. That's Swift Air. We typically see them in the mix. It's these others that are very fresh and new coming in. This one here is coming from Puerto Rico. So the big question is, are they bringing troops in that are getting sent across the drink? And if they are, is it tied to the exercise, or is it tied to, because you would think they would probably already be utilizing the folks that are on ground there, since we're well over 100,000 U.S. troops in Europe, that they are probably using them for the exercises because you want them to be, learning that environment and working with others in that region. So let's see, where are they headed to from here? Southwest is headed to Syracuse, New York. Allegiant headed up to LaGuardia. Omni headed to Perot Field. That's a 777. That could be troops. Then you've got another Allegiant Airbus. That's like a little 737. It's an A320 headed to Cincinnati or CVG. And then you've got this one here, Eastern Airlines headed back to Puerto Rico from it's just basically a round robin, back and forth. And then this one, you look at the scheduled departures, that National Cargo is headed to JFK, and then another Eastern headed to Rapid City, South Dakota. So they're really just kind of branching out all over the place. Don't know. They could be moving immigrants, which wouldn't surprise me, or they are moving troops, National Guardsmen, whatever it may be. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it, but this is a very significant uptick, and it looks to all be domestic. So if it's moving immigrants, we're getting shafted because they're basically bypassing everything and taking them straight to their new homes. And if it's troops, then we got to ask the question, we did have a data point in the last 2 weeks of a multitude of National Guardsmen being seen in airports. And this was being reported by ticket agents and a lot of others. So I don't know. Just continue to watch it. But when I got the survey flights and then we see this stuff going on, it certainly makes you kind of wonder if there's something happening that we aren't really seeing because we're all so spread out. All right, let's move on. Let's get over here to Dover. Pretty busy board, but look at the amount of Cessna 172s that run in and out of this place. Same tail number. This thing is just in and out, in and out, in and out. It's kind of crazy to see that on the board that many times. You do have a Coletta 747 coming in from JFK. Another Coletta coming in from Oscoda. That's their home operation, so that plane probably is being led into service after maintenance. That's, again, 747. And then inbound is this one from King Abdullah Aziz International. So Saudi, maybe? Airbus coming in. Probably got gold sinks on it and everything. All right. Then we get down here. Let's go camber flight. So that 747 is going forward operating base, straight to RZE. So, and then this one's going to Ramstein. So the two 747s headed to Europe. Okay, then we get over here to this part. This is going to be Ramstein itself. You can see 767 coming in from Cairo. You got a blue and white dignitary coming in from Brussels. Camber flight coming from Doha. Atlas Air coming from Baltimore, Washington. And then another, that one coming out of Dover we just looked at. That's going to be Coletta. Big, giant, white 747. All right, from there, destination unknown, destination unknown. And those are two of your 747s. And then this one headed to Kuwait. And looks like the 767-300 one. Another one headed to Cairo, down to Egypt. And then one headed to Baltimore. Again, notice this Spar 85 that came in from Brussels is then headed to Wiesbaden Army Airfield. All right. Okay, Wiesbaden. It's a beautiful area, by the way. So is if you get up near Strobenhausen. It's another area. Spent a lot of time in Strobenhausen. Okay, this is going to be, what are we looking at here? Okay, this is RZE. So let's see what we got going on here. Remember, forward operating base. We've got a camber flight coming in from Dover, 747. So that's probably bringing replacement equipment to the stuff that just got smoked. And then let's go down the line here, see if I got anything else. Got the Brits are in and out, but I don't know what. Western Global MD-11 coming from Washington Dulles. Don't know what that's all about. Don't see too many flights coming in from Western Dulles, especially, Washington Dulles, especially Western Global. Got those two words twisted. And let's see, anything else. Remember, too, when I'm looking at this board, there's a lot of commercial flights mixed in this, so I'm really kind of cherry picking through. UPS coming in from Hill Air Force Base. That's Ogden, Utah. And that Ogden is also a depot for the F-35, so they may be bringing some extra landing gear into the place. Let's go a little higher and see what we've got over here on the departure side of the board. One Atlas Air coming in from Hong Kong. That'll be probably empty. It's not going to be carrying anything big ordnance-wise across the drink unless it goes across the Pacific. If it comes across Asia and China and everything else, it won't be. It looks like that Western Global is headed over to Frankfurt, Germany from there. And that's it. So a little bit of an uptick, but not, doesn't look like it's camber stuff. It looks more like it's bringing maybe some asset replacement there. All right. National Cargo, that one looks to be, let's back this up. I've got one coming out of Hong Kong, and I don't know why it was so zoomed in. Yeah, see how it's flying across, it's probably south of China, and then it's across India. But that one is rolling out, and let's see where the other one is if I can find it. I just have just one place that says where it's near, and I don't even I-8 or something like that, but don't know where that is. So let's move on. All right, here are your Western Globals. Wait a minute, let me back that up. That was National Cargo. Okay, Western Global here. So this is going to be one coming out of Tokyo, one coming out of Southwest Florida down near Fort Myers, headed to Anchorage, Alaska. Other one is way out over here. Looks like it's heading across the Pacific. More than likely, well, I don't know where that's headed, so not even going to try and guess that one. Let's see, Omni Air. Now, these guys serve mini masters. Notice this one looks to be headed down to Central America from Alexandria, so that's probably taken some criminals back that got across the border and were apprehended and are being sent back. But let's see, we do have one rolling from Anchorage to Kadena, Fort Worth to Shannon, Ireland, and that is it for the Omnis. Let's see if we got anything from NATO. I had 2 up a minute ago. Yeah, it looks like we've got 2 MMF, 1 MMF 41, Eindhoven and Marca International. So this one's coming out of what looks to be Jordan. Yeah, I think that's Jordan. This is Syria up here. Yeah, Israel here. Yeah, so it's coming out of Jordan. So you've got NATO into Jordan, and they look to be both headed back into this area in Europe. And then let's get over here to the Brits, and they are racked and stacked right here. Look at this. What do we got going into in and out? One looks, they're also in Jordan, and the other looks to be headed into Cyprus. And then let's back it up a little bit. Here you can see some stuff headed down into, looks like they're headed towards Portugal, and the other looks to be headed home. So very busy, very active. Got a lot of flights on the board there for the British. So, okay, well, listen, that is going to do it for today. We're going to continue to watch a little bit of an uptick, it looks like, but that could honestly be related to this mill exercise. It may not have anything to do with it. The stuff in and out of Biggs is a little concerning, as are the survey flights. So we'll continue to watch those two from a data point perspective to see where it ends up leading us. So, all right, you guys be safe out there. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out.
Tremor, Cook 79, Yankee Bridge. 2025-79, days over ground, 6 kilo. 2377 on half a kilo, going somewhere around 597. 77 days over ground, via Lima, kilo 5, and hold short of kilo.